and today I'm here for Global Azure event, wherein ideally I like to cover my use cases, which people can relate with very well, and they can go ahead and start building stuff. So I tend to speak less about the platform. Less about the platform and try to provide more realistic use cases in variety of sessions wherever I present. So today I'm going to speak about Azure AI Foundry, wherein don't worry if you are new to this platform, if you don't know what Azure AI Foundry is and what Azure AI Foundry, how you can go ahead and start creating it, how you can start building use cases on top of it. So today I'm going to, I have a very two interesting use cases wherein I'm going to build agent. And this agent is, not many of us are from the pro code background, which is Python, C Sharp. Okay, that's fine if you don't know. But if you just want to try out and then extend it further in terms of how can I integrate it, where can I integrate, then you can take this piece and plug and play wherever you want with whatever coding assistant you can, whatever code editor you can use, right? So today I'm going to talk about Azure AI Foundry, and I have two interesting use cases wherein we look at the platform in detail. Along with that, there are two use cases. One is compliance risk agent, and the other is physics tutor. So I'm covering these two use cases specifically, one which will elaborate on the agentic instructions and the other specifically as an assistant type of agent. And we'll talk about the different models available. Fine tune, if you want to fine tune it further, you can do that as well, and how you can do that. So that's today's talk. Okay, before I go to the agenda, myself, I'm Shrishtisha, and I have been working as senior consultant. I am also a Microsoft MVP. I specialize in Power Platform, M365, and Teams area, but I also have experience in Azure and AI and Copilot Studio. Recently, for the past more than a year, I'm working on Copilot and AI. And also, I'm a MVP, which is you can find me speaking across various user group or various events. And also, I tend to put some thought leadership blogs around AI, Copilot, or around Power Platform space on my LinkedIn. So you can find something there. While I've already elaborated on the agenda, but I'll quickly run through what I'm going to speak about. One is Foundry as a platform. Why Foundry? There are a number of other tools. Why we are looking at Foundry per se, specific Foundry, the key concepts in Foundry. Then, okay, I have developed everything in Foundry. Now, how can I integrate this? Probably it can be on a web application, probably on a different altogether service like M365, or how you can do that, how the integrations can happen. And we look into the Foundry, how you can do that, all those things. Then use cases, which I already mentioned. One is the compliance risk assistant, and the other is your physics tutor. And of course, I don't have more slides. Honestly, I don't have any more slides. I'll straight away dive into the Azure. So now, before I go to the Azure portal, and it's important to understand Foundry, where Foundry came into the picture and what exactly Azure AI Foundry is, so that we all are aware about the basic thing what Foundry is. For example, if someone is new, they might not know. So let's just quickly cover the overview for them. Foundry is a platform, okay, and wherein this platform provides the plethora of models, and those models are GPT models, the Microsoft GPT models. There are few small language models as well, and there are few models from the other providers like Meta, Hugging Face, and you name it, like DeepSeek, you name it, and the model would be there for almost all the providers. So why you need such platform? Why can't you directly go ahead and leverage those models altogether? So what Microsoft did is, there is an open AI, and there is this thin line gap, which I think many of us, you who are not from the Microsoft tech background, they might be wondering, okay, there is already an open AI, then why do we need Foundry while Foundry is also hosting the same models? So the only simple difference is, this is hosted on Azure. Azure has its own security, governance, and compliance setup. And once Microsoft, what they did is they partnered with OpenAI, and we are using same models, but with secured and governed manner. So you don't have to worry about, okay, whether my data will go out, whether my data will, because we are using org data, which is enterprise data, and you don't want that to be put it outside, across your web or internet. So this security and governance comes with the platform, which is Azure. Azure, many of us know this is cloud provider, right? So you have that another resource. So Foundry is nothing but a platform wherein you host, wherein there are multiple models, and all you do is create a resource, and that resource is an OpenAI resource, and then you start attaching the models with the resource. Resource along just resource won't do its job, right? Resource group is a resource. SQL is a resource, or blob container or any of the blob storage, all those are resources. But what you do inside, you put the data, you structure it, you perform some operations. So same goes for Azure Foundry. You create a OpenAI resource, and then you deploy a model, and you can select any of the model which I just mentioned, and that's how you start building your agents with the combination. So that is what Foundry is. Foundry is nothing but a platform wherein you can go ahead and build, deploy the agents. So I already spoke about it, but I'll just wait here for the screen wherein I have put it some description around. You can build generative AI applications. So when I talk about Azure Foundry, right? Foundry is basically for generative models, the GPT models, large language, small language, and the other provider models. While there is an Azure AI service altogether, wherein you get language, text, speech, all those vision, customization models as well, and you can straight away make this integration happen with your LLM with the other AI services. So it's not just that, okay, I have LLM, so I can only work with an LLM standalone. No, you can integrate with the AI services, you can integrate with data source, you can integrate with search, all those things can happen. But Foundry only hosts the large language, small language models from the various providers, while the integration with AI, still you can make it. As you can see from the image, there here you can also find the AI services, and this AI is specifically for a language, text, the other AI service like processing of your documents, files, and all those things. What you can do in the platform, you can build, test, deploy using the latest tools and also the models, and these can be grounded in the organization data, but also there is a spectrum altogether, which is in responsible AI. All the practices has to be followed if you are creating your own model or if you are training with your own data. But if you are using the base model like GPT-4, GPT-4o, 4.1, the fee models, then this is already grounded with, because it is already trained one. We are using the trained model, so it is already grounded with the best practices of responsible AI. Another important thing is, it's not that, okay, I am only solely going to work on a project, right? We have a team of people who work on different areas and different activities. So in the Foundry platform as well, you have the flexibility of creating a project wherein you can share this with your team members, and each and everyone can contribute to your project. So we look into that as well. What is a hub? What is a project? And all of those things. I'm skipping. This is just for your reference, this slide, so that you can go back and read if you want to know more. What are the key benefits of the platform? So it simplifies the agent development with a visual interface. This first line is specifically for whenever you go to the Foundry portal, you have the portal, which is navigational portal, wherein you just plug and play, you drag, drop, you click, right? With that interface, you can go and build agents, you can create models, you can customize the models, you can network issue. Let me know, Nandeep, if I break out, I break in between. Hello, am I audible, Nandeep? Or anyone, if you can unmute.
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you so much. There's some network issue, so just anyone can unmute and let me know if there is a pause in between. Okay, so key benefits is basically you can build agents using visual interface, but also you can extend it to the pro code. You can customize it further with the pro code as well. While there are different reusable AI capabilities, as I mentioned, you can use the AI services. You can go and find any of the already trained model, and not just that, you can also fine tune model further on top of it. You can also find model catalog, wherein you can not just use Microsoft models but also the models from the other providers. And there is a detailed reporting around different comparison. You can compare the different models, you can check which one is the relevant, which one is the efficient, based on the detailed reporting. Now, important thing which I put it here is think of it as a control panel for deploying the purpose-built copilots into your business ecosystem. This is the key which you can keep in mind. I ideally resonate this with more, because what Azure AI Foundry is, it is nothing but a control panel wherein you have the whole control. You can customize it, you can deploy. Foundry is for enterprise agent building platform. It is not for low code, no code. It is an enterprise agent building platform wherein you can customize it further, and whole command is in your hands. Whatever you're building, you are the pilot, and what you are building, those are the assistants or agents, wherein you can just fix into any business ecosystem and you're good to go, while you also have the whole control in your hand. Coming back, I'll skip this slide. Let's not go into this slide. I don't have any more slides as well. The use case I have already elaborated, and now let's go to the Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so let's mostly, I believe everyone would know what Azure is, but if someone is unaware of what Azure is, then you can go to the portal.azure.com. If you don't have Azure license, then you get a 30-day free trial as well. But I think that is only for students. I need to check whether for working professionals there is still a trial. I believe there is a trial for them as well, but you need to provide your credit card details. So you can also avail a 30-day trial wherein you can go ahead and start doing some POCs on top of Azure. If you want to go ahead and start using Azure AI Foundry, then you can go ahead and do that. This is the Azure OpenAI, wherein what you ideally do is Microsoft has provided another resource which is specifically for OpenAI, large language, small language, generative, models. This is what it is under. Azure OpenAI, as you see, it falls under the hub, which is AI service. Now you would say, okay, what AI is? Previously, if you know, we used to call Azure AI services cognitive services, and the cognitive services hold a lot of other service like translation, language, speech, custom vision, face API. All of these are still there. And additionally, we have one more, which is your Azure OpenAI. Now, if you see, I have one resource which is already created, but I'll still go ahead and create one. Not going to create one, but just want to show the interface. What you need to do is you need to provide the subscription. You need to select the resource group. The resource group is nothing but a container in which this resource will stay. Which region do you want this resource to be provisioned at? The name of the resource, the OpenAI resource, and the pricing tier. You can select that. And if you want to look at the full detail of pricing, there is a document of Microsoft which opens up, wherein you'll see the detailed pricing of each model, be it O3, O4, Mini, 4.1, 4.5. All these detailed documentation is provided. You can check, and then you can select the pricing tier based on that. Once you are done, you hit next. Let's just go and select one and hit next. You will ask to select the network. Do you want to make this available to all the network across internet, or selected networks, or disable? You can select as per your use case, or if you're working for your organization, this is just your project, then better that they would have the selected networks in place wherein you can only allow few networks wherein this will be used. Right now, just for the demo purpose, I've selected all network. Once you are done, you can tag it as well so that everyone is aware about what this resource is about and no one accidentally deletes or misuse this thing. So you can provide a tag. Tag is a helpful best practice wherein you name your resource, you tag your resource for project or POC or any purpose, and then you can review and submit. This is what a resource looks like. So I have one such resource which I have created, Foundry AI Assistant. As soon as you click on that resource, you will see the overview. What you can do, what you can find here is you can find the basic details like, okay, what is the API kind, what is the pricing tier, the endpoint. Now, important question. I am doing everything from the portal. How I can integrate this thing with my project wherein I am doing up Node.js. In my Node.js, I want to leverage this model. How you can do that? Just like any other Azure AI service, you have endpoint and key. You need to leverage this using endpoint and key. But a quick note here, if I have the resource which is created, I can go to the endpoint. I can copy the endpoint. I have the key done. Will this work? No, because it's just a resource and it doesn't know which model I'm using unless I already have a model which is deployed. So whenever you work with Azure OpenAI resource, you need to keep in mind that just the plain endpoint won't work. You need furthermore an query, which is for your deployed model. As soon as you pass the deployed model name and then provide the key in that same endpoint, you are done. Now your resource know that, okay, for this particular resource, which is Azure AI Foundry Assistant, I am using 4.1 model, and this is what I have provisioned. And I need to now start using 4. Now, whatever use case I build, that will be with the 4.1 model. And this is just the simple thing, probably not everyone might be aware of. If yes, then all good. If no, then this is just an important layer. People start using the endpoint and key directly. You don't need to do that. You need to first create a deploy. You first need to deploy a model as well. So these are the few basic things which you can find from the overview section. Now, important, how can I go ahead and start building my agent inside my Foundry? So if you scroll down, you'll find that this is where you can see the portal. So there is a portal which Microsoft is providing, and this is the Foundry portal. Let's just wait for a second to load. Okay, now as you can see, let's just go from the home. I'm going to provide a detailed overview of the portal, and then we'll move to the two use cases. What this portal shows is, if you look at the top section, wherein I see my resource, in this resource, I am in my portal now. So whatever I'll work on or whatever agents I'll build, that will be for this resource, right? In the portal, you see the resource configuration. You can find the subscription, the access control of who has access to this, the normal IAM access control, and the subscription ID and the pricing tier and all of those. But below, those are the key endpoint, which I already mentioned. You can see that I can also start playing with the playground, like assistant playground, chat playground. I can also bring my enterprise data. I can fine tune the model further. There is an image playground, completions playground. What this playground is, so playground basically offers you the testing functionality, wherein yes, I have my deployment model ready, but I want to test how this works before I release it, or before I publish this to the web application, before this is published to a different integration service altogether. How can you test whether whatever you want is performing well or not with your own data, with your instructions? Hence, this playground comes very handy, wherein in the left section as well, you'll see all the same chat, assistant, audio, images, and completions. So these all playgrounds are already available for you, uh, wherein you can go ahead and start testing whether whatever is your intended use case, this is working fine or not. We'll come to this briefly when I talk about my use case. Important to understand that, okay, you need some information around documentation. Then you'll find more models from different providers in the model catalog. We'll see that as well. You can also optimize your projects. You can protect from project injection. This is the important, many of us might not be aware, but prompt injection is one of the biggest jailbreaking attempt, wherein people can put in the prompt some secrets, some of the other things which can hamper your project and which can get the enterprise data out. So that protection is also there. Prompt shield, you can explore that, and some responsible AI principles, and along with that some documentations if you want to know. All these things are available in the home. So home itself is has the detailed information around what you can do in Azure AI Foundry. Now, coming back to the model catalog. Now, let's say I am very new to the LLM, this large language model and agent and co-pilot thingy. Now, how can I go ahead and start? How can I understand what models are, what different type of models are available, what each model does? Because I'm very new and probably consider I'm not a technical person. I just am a person who works in a legal domain, but I want to use agent and I want to build as well for my day-to-day activity, which I'm doing for contract review or something. So you come to the Foundry, you see the latest announcements. These are the ones which Microsoft keeps on making. Whenever there is a new model which is released, or whenever there is an new features for the model which gets released. So these are the announcements which you can find. But if you scroll down, These are the different models. This is a model catalog, wherein see there are n number of models now. But as I mentioned, I'm not a non-technical, I'm a non-technical person. You can hit on any of the model, just select, I have selected DALI 3, and you will find the details along with the documentation of what DALI is. So now I know that DALI generates, has to do something with image, for which I need to just provide my prompt in text, right? And this is available in Azure OpenAI, and there is an API. API means a service which talks to the DALI model behind the scenes, and it takes my text prompt and it generates an image for me. Now, if I want to learn more, as I said, I'm non-technical, you can hit on that link and there will be a detailed Microsoft documentation for each model. See, this is present. Now you can go ahead and go through in detail about the model description, the properties of the model, the configurations, etc. But coming back to the scenario wherein I'm non-technical, so for me this much suffices. I know what this model is, and you see the button at the top, deploy. But before that, you will find that okay, where all this model is available, where in which region, the latest model ID, the availability, whether this is generally available or this is still in private preview or public preview by Microsoft. This is the Microsoft details of the model, and the data, media, and languages, like which model this model supports, what kind of input and what is the output. So if you see, the input has to be in text and the output will be generating an image, which is what this model does. And some other quick facts about training data. I'm not trained, and it is not available as well. You can also look into the pricing of each model, which we just saw in the other documentation, right from the model as well, and the model ID, the ID of the model, which version we are using. So all these details are available. And as you can see, fine tune is not available. Fine tune means if you want to tune this model more with your own data, that is not available. Hence, this is disabled. Now, existing deployments means if I already have created a deployment, I'll come to the deployment, just hold on for a few seconds. But deployment means whenever, as I mentioned, I have the resource, but I have not selected this resource is going to use which deployment. I can have n number of deployments, which means one deployment will be consuming my 4.1 model, other deployment can be using 4.0, other deployment can use DALI, which is or image, or other can be for speech to text. There are few models. And how you can do that, we can go to the deployments and I will show that. But if you have any deployment which supports DALI, then it will show here if you have already created one. If not, as soon as you click on deploy, you will find the same interface which we will see in the deployments. Just keep this in mind for now. This is the detailed overview of each model, which you can find for each one in the model catalog. Now, what we saw was just one of the Azure Open AI model. Now, let's say I don't want to use this. I want to use Llama, for example. Do we have Llama? Let's check. Oops. I need to search by all. Okay, let's clear this out. And let's see, where are my other models? I see DaVinci model, I see GPT Whisper. All these are GPT models, but where are the ones which I can use provided by the other party, which is like Llama, Facebook, Hugging Face, where all those models can be. So now come to the deployment. In the deployment, we'll create a deployment. And this deployment is basically for your this resource. Now we are going to attach that resource with the model. So let's go ahead and see deploy based model. We don't want to fine tune with our data, and you'll find all the models here. You can select any one, for example, O3. If you select O3, you'll understand what this model does. This model intends to complete your chat, which means if I ask anything to the model will be able to generate the AI generated response for me, or also it can answer, generate, summarize, all those things. And what are the key capabilities of this model? You can find it here, like multi API support, reasoning summary, multimodality, which means it's not necessary that I'll always use text. I can also use voice and vision, which is image or something, full tool support, and then model variants. So for this model, are there any other variants? Yes, there is O4 mini, O3, O3 mini, O1, and all those details are also, you can also find it. As soon as you select one model, you confirm, and then you'll find the details. Okay. what should be the deployment name, the deployment type. I'll keep the standard type, and the deployment details like the version of the model, the AI resource to which this is the resource name, the capacity of the model, the resource location, safety. I'll come to the safety at the end, and the version upgrade if there is any version upgrade policy already in this. You select deploy to the selected resource, and it will be there for you, and the model will sit here. Let me just refresh this. I have two deployments already. Why it hasn't created? Let's just go select my deployment. I'll create one. Okay, I already have this one where this is sitting. Okay, so this is my another resource wherein I have the deployments. So let's just go to the deployments, and you will find I have created two deployments. If I open this, you'll again see the same interface which we just saw for DALI. I've created one for GPT-4 and the other for GPT 4.1. Now, whatever I'm going to show today is through portal, but as I mentioned, if I want to leverage this in the code, here you can pick your language and you will find a detailed code, and then you can refine it further. So these are the basic code sample wherein you can see the libraries are already imported. The endpoint is there with my details, which is the deployment, etc. And the this the sample is doing some job, which is just you are a helpful assistant. I'm going to Paris. What should I see? The simple message is put here and it will respond. So these are the samples which you get for particular language. It's not just for language C sharp. It also shows you which SDK it is using and what is the authentication type. And let's say Python. You are more comfortable with Python, and Python with API key. You'll find the sample code already. All you do is just install this in your VS Code and copy this code, paste it, and update the key if there is not a key present. I think key is not there. We need to generate the key and put it here. See, once you are done with that, your code will run and it will perform the job just like in few minutes. So this integration is very simple. Now, here what you find is the baseline vanilla code which is provided, but you can extend it further as well. Now let's say I want to test this because we are talking about, okay, I have created a GPT-4 model. I have created a deployment for GPT-4 model. I can see the URI, I can see the key, I can see all the configurations. Now where can I test this? And now you go to the chat. What you can do, I'll just go ahead and start doing. So now for GPT 4.1, these are the deployments which you'll see. There are two which I've created, which we just found similar. 4.1 and 4. I'll use 4.1, and now I'll come to my use case, which is compliance. For that, I have this compliance and legal term, this contract. What this contract holds is a vendor information, the contract ID, the effective date, the term of the contract, the value, the jurisdiction, and some of the clauses like data protection, termination clause, determination of cost clause, and the SLAs. So this is basically for all the vendors whenever IT, consider an IT organization, when they deal with different vendors, there is this legal compliance and legal term which is ideally shared, and then that these clauses are mentioned in that. So now I want to check with my model that, hey, are there any risks? Okay. Are there any risks in this contract? Now, keep in mind that I'm just going to hit send. I haven't added any instruction right now. Okay. You'll see the difference, what I'm going to show. And I've also not added any data. We'll talk about it once we play this. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Yes, there are multiple risks and red flags. Here's the breakdown by clause. So this is for this clause, this is the risk, which is no DPA. This is a major compliance gap, no subprocessor list, the transfers, This is basically for contracts and vendor contracts. Termination, this is the vague definition of the breach. The SLAs also has the risks, etc. This is how it is mentioned, and summary of the major risks is mentioned here. Now, what if I pass the detailed instruction? So let me go to the detailed instruction. This is the detailed instruction which I have captured, wherein I am saying that, hey, I'm trying to build an agent, which is a contract compliance and risk review agent, who is going to work on behalf of me just for an evaluation purpose. It is not going to perform any actions. It is just going to help me evaluate this, right? Your role is to read and analyze the agreement, the contract, the vendor contract and everything. You need to, these are the steps which I'm saying, extract key clauses, like identify and extract key clauses like this. You need to evaluate each clause for risk. You need to highlight the red flags and generate a summary report. And also, if you see, there is a behavior which is mentioned below, wherein I'm saying never approve or reject, because I'm just evaluating. I don't want AI to take decisions. I just want it to run through a proofread check, because I don't have that much time wherein I go ahead and read each contract. So I'm evaluating it. But I know this is AI generated evaluation, so I still can run through myself. Never reject and approve. Stay factual. Do not hallucinate. Be concise. So I'm going to copy these instructions which I have created, and let's just put this in my agent instruction. Now I will say, hey, can you help me review this contract? And I could easily attach file as well, but let me just quickly copy paste. And this is the contract which I want to be evaluated by AI. And let's hit enter, and let's see the difference. Previously, we just didn't add any instructions. It was showing some of the risks. It highlighted the red flags. Now, after putting a detailed instruction, let's see. Okay, it has generated the, see the way it has generated. Certainly, and here's the structure, what's included. So it is also highlighting that you have included these things, but these are the key risks, which are almost similar to what we found, but these are the best practices. It also says you did this, but you need to do it this way. For the other clause, which is termination, you have included this. These are the risk and these are the best practices. For SLAs, same thing. It is mentioned for other clause as well, the same thing. And what's included, key risk, I think it stopped generating. There's some token limitation now, which is not working. But it generates also at the end, it generates the detailed summary, like we have mentioned in the instruction. Now, let's say this is okay. I have put in my data. You can attach it as well, and then it will just work on it based on the instruction. Now, what if I don't have such scenario, but I have a scenario wherein I have a data which is already, there is a huge repository of legal contracts for vendors is already stored in a data source, and I want that to be used. So whenever I query something that, hey, are there any risks for that particular contract for client A, then it should help me provide that, and not, I don't want to attach because I don't have all the contracts handy at my end. So you can also attach this with a data source, and this data source can be anything like search, blob storage, Cosmos, Elasticsearch, or the uploaded file, maybe your repository, which is SharePoint or some other thing, or a website, web address. So these all attach, these all data source can be there. Consider Azure Blob Storage. For that, you need a blob resource created. It will ask some information like which subscription, is there any blob? If not, then do you want me to generate a new resource? What is the index and how frequently the index is scheduled? All those things you can do from here. And then you can connect it once that blob is connected, or if you already have a blob, you can put all the data, you can connect it with the data, and then you can connect the blob with this particular um, assistant, and you are good to go. You can also add your own enterprise data. What next you will see is some of the settings like the language, the subscription, speech resources. If you want to speak, then it can also take your speech, and it can convert text for your prompt, but right now I haven't created any resource, hence I can't, use this functionality. Another section which you can find is safety system messages, examples, and variable. So here you can also add safety system messages. For example, there are already 276 messages available, like avoid harmful content is for your content filtration, wherein if you want, you can select something, avoid ungrounded content and all of those things for this particular agent, wherein it doesn't break any safety clauses for your assistant. And once these are checked, once you select this thing, you can insert it. You are not selecting anything from your side. It is already created safety system messages by the platform, and you are just utilizing that. Next, examples. So for example, here you can create a whole scenario, which means when user asks something, your assistant should respond in such a manner, right? This is what a chat bot kind of an behavior you can achieve here. You are putting that, okay, when user says hi, hello, good morning, you need to respond, hey, how you're doing, all well, something like that. Your assistant should respond in a systematic manner. What you can do here is you can confine your user tone and user responses, also your assistant data. You already saw, add your data and the parameters for your model if you want to configure, like the maximum number of responses, how relevant your model should respond. So temperature is one, top responses, the sequence, and the frequency. All these configurations of the model you can change as well. Now this was one for compliance, right? And as soon as it says please select the apply changes button, and once you hit apply changes, it will be applied. So let's say applied. It is asking me that updating the system message will start a new session. Previous messages won't be included. I'll continue. And now, whenever, because now the changes, whatever I made are applied, it stays through. And now whenever I start chatting, this particular chat playground will act as a compliance assistant only. Let me just ask, can you provide me the information about Microsoft Azure community? Let's see what it does. It has responded with a detailed information, but if you look at the response, it is providing me the key benefits, the participation, something like what I have told for risks. But in the instruction, I did not mention that you should only respond to legal compliance, right? Hence, it is responding for all the other topics as well. While you can pretty much do that, if I just put a line that, hey, do not respond on any other topics apart from compliance, risk, legal domain. Now, as soon as I apply this change, let's just wait for a few seconds. What is the Microsoft Azure community? Let's see if it still responds. See, it says that no, I can't. Only can respond in contract clause or compliance related. So this is what you can do. Right now, what I was doing is I was trying to extract some important information by using AI to evaluate my contracts. This is again an example of retrieving, but also it helps you perform some tasks, which is it is performing the task. So this is the biggest example of retrieving plus task type of agent. Now you can use this as is if you want to use this in your custom code. How you can do that? You can put the view code and you can select in which type of code, for example, JavaScript, and you can find the details of how you can go ahead and use this exact sample code with the key authentication. And if you scroll down, you'll find the endpoint and the key at the top as well. You can simply plug and play into your code. What else you can do is, now that you have understood what this helps you to do, you can now go to what we did was just an example of chat, right? There are few different things like speech, wherein you already have real-time transcription, all these different things. But if you want to try for speech, then you can just say what language your recording is in, and you can upload your recording and then let AI do its job. You can ask some questions, or it can evaluate for you what the recording was of. It can summarize and all those things. Same thing is for language. If you want to work on translation or something like that, it can help you with the language. But keep in mind, whatever, so for example, if I go in the speech and I want to try that, I can just provide the recording. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to record right now. You can just upload your file as well of the recordings if there are any, and you can view documentation, but you can also fine tune it more, this model. Next, going to the audio. Same for audio means it will take audio as an input, but right now the two models which I've deployed, those doesn't support. Hence it is showing me no deployment exists. And as soon as you create new deployment, it will start showing the suggestions of audio type of model. But right now I don't see that in my environment. Oh, it's there. Perfect. I need to use this transcribe model. And as soon as I hit on the transcribe model, see, it's take your speech as an input and shows text as an output. Hit confirm, a model deployed screen will be showcased, and you can deploy and you can start using audio to text AI models as well. Images, nothing but you have DALI, right? Similarly, we have another called new model, which is, let's go to the model deployments. Deployments, go back. Here there is a new model which recently Microsoft has released, and this is in preview, image. Okay, where is that new one? That's in private preview. That's GPT image something, which I forgot the name, but there is one more model apart from DALI, which recently Microsoft has released, wherein you can go ahead and process your your images, but more nicer way, not just how DALI 2 and DALI 3 used to work. It also extracts, it uses OCE, wherein you can also put the text and everything, just like your recent GPT OpenAI hype, wherein you can create your different interactions, show the images, and you highlight, okay, this person is talking about this thing and all of those things. So that recent new model has come into this interface as well. Somehow it's not showing, but this is what you can do. Completion is nothing but summarizing and generating, and for that also you need a deployment. You can test everything from the playground, and as I mentioned, you can also fine tune your model. So if I want to fine tune a model, I can select a model. Consider this one. Okay, it's not showing. And as soon as you hit next, it will start. Okay, let's select the GPT 3.5, hit next, and now you are fine tuning it with your data. So you have to provide your training data. Just provide, hit next, and you can select the data from wherever it resides to. You can start searching and you can upload file either from blob, and then search, select the data which you want to train with the parameters, just like how we used to train the document processing model with our own data, the custom model. Similarly, you can fine tune the base model as well. This is what you can do. Next, Azure OpenAI evaluation. Here you can validate the performance of your OpenAI models. So consider you want to evaluate some model. How you can go ahead and evaluate, you can upload some data set, and then you can start evaluating how well it is performing. This is for the models which are trained with your data. Completions, if you have stored any, the bad jobs, will not go into the detail. Matrix, is, which is what I was saying, that it provides a detailed matrix around each model. So you can find also whatever requests you are making for my deployment. So as you can see for the recent one, the total requests which were made were 5, the total token count, the prompt token count, the completion token count, and the input versus output. This is the input output. These are the number of requests which I have made. These are the requests per minute. And then if there are any latencies, these are the matrix for my model performance, for my deployment. If I select for the other one, you can see the other one as well, the detailed matrix. And I can also view in Azure Monitor. So nothing new. This is same as your application insights, but as this resource is a new resource, you also find the out of the box matrix monitoring from here. Quota, which is what how much quota you have consumed so far. So this is for my current subscription. It will show the detailed quota. So how many standard, global standard deployments I've created. So all were under global standard. And these are the model availability region. But this is how the quota limitation looks like. The detailed, again, the detailed matrix. The Azure OpenAI the Azure OpenAI Classic and the provisioned ones, all the detailed inputs. Safety and security. So here you can create your content filters. For example, user can't put anything vague in the prompt, for example anything harmful, or maybe someone is dealing with health issues and you are just continuously people are typing the prompt which are very depressing, which can make them more anxious or depressed. So here you can create a content filter wherein you can select what type of filtration you want to add. This works both the way. While you're typing in the input, while the person types in the prompt, it gets filtered out automatically if someone is putting any harmful thing, and also whatever model is responding back with, it will be filtered out content. So two ways this happen in one is through the injection, which the prompt you're injecting, and the output of the model which it generates. So these are the categories, these are the media at which it can be applied, and what actions do you want to take, and how should be the level of the moderation, medium, low, or high. This you can do. Hit next. This was for the input filter, as I mentioned, when the user is typing in the prompt, and this is the output, wherein the model is giving you the response back or generating something. You should keep the filter for both the end, input and output. Once you are done, you can select where do you want to use this content filter, all the models, deployment models, or only for few. You can select as per, and then you can review. Once you are done reviewing, you can create. So let's say if I put anything which related to some or the other religion or something, then it will filter out and it will say that I can't respond, something like that. So this will be the content filtration. Data files, as we have not added any data, but if you want, you can add data for your assistant, for model, for batch or evaluation as well. So let's say I want to add the data for assistant. I can select from the local files that, hey, use this data. And then based on this data, my assistants will respond back. And the vector stores, wherein you are adding the vector store indexing and all those, similar to Azure search. You can create a vector store if there is not any. And then once it is done, you can upload it with the local file. Rather than doing it from here, you can do it from the Azure AI search itself, and all the data will be stay here. So this is the overall Azure AI Foundry, which we have explored. Now, coming back to the another important thing which I wanted to showcase was a assistant type of agent. So now let's say I want to explore an assistant type of agent. So you can see this is the in the assistant. This is my assistant ID. It has created an assistant already for me. This is the name. This is the deployment. It uses a 4 model, GPT-4 model, and not 4.1. And these are the instructions. So I'm saying that, hey, you are an physics expert tutor and you need to simplify the concept for students. You need to use analogies and real world examples, encourage the concept understanding, provide the ask follow-up questions and all those things. And here I'm providing the description for my assistant that you are a physics expert. You need to do all those things. You need to encourage students if they are not motivated enough. If this assistant would be of type code assistant, for example, then you can do that as well. You can select code interpreter and it will start providing, for example, I want to create a physics a code which provides me the acceleration, which generates the velocity, and I want to do this in a Python. Then as soon as this is turned on, you can start it will start creating a code for you. These are the model settings. I'll just turn this off for now. I'm not generating the code. I'll say, how can I generate a velocity? And as you saw, this was a tutor, physics tutor. It should provide simple examples as well and analogies. Imagine you are in the park, you will see. So how beautiful this works just because we have put it that in instruction. If I would have just straight away, without the instruction and description, if I would have asked what is the velocity, it would have given me the textbook description. Imagine you are at a park and you see a soccer ball resting on the ground. The ball has zero velocity. Oh, now my mind knows, okay, what zero velocity is. Now, if you want to give the soccer ball some velocity, you need to kick it. When you kick the ball, you apply a force. This force changes the ball state from resting, which is no velocity, to moving velocity. Now, this is a physics description which is provided, and this also helps me imagine, okay, this is the whole picture and this is what velocity is. Now, if you scroll down, you see the in physics term, start with an object at rest, apply a force, the object moves, and velocity is achieved, right? Now, if I ask a follow-up question, is there any formula for velocity? And it will provide the information. Yes, there is. And this formula is also straightforward, and it gives an example again. It also shows the important points to remember. So this is what an assistant is. Now consider I turn this on and my instructions were still the same. And now I say, hey, I am writing a Python code to generate velocity. Can you help me with it? And now it takes some time. Oh, it exceeded the rate limit. I think my deployment per minute has exceeded. I'll wait for a few seconds, but it does generate the code as the code interpreter is on, and we are just doing the instruction. If this doesn't generate, then probably I might have to tweak the instructions to also incorporate that it allows code generation as well. But it does work, and you can also see the what is turned on. If you want to add some code interpreter files so that it interpret that way another file search, you can do it right from here as well. If you want to look at the JSON response, then you can look at the JSON response of what was generated here. So basically, JSON response is the output will now be in JSON and not no longer in text. That is what we are doing. If we want to look at the logs, if we want to clear chat, all those can be visible. Again, you can view the code of the assistant, and then you can integrate in your piece of code. If you want to generate a new assistant for the same deployment model, do that. If you want to select an assistant, you can select as well. So all those things can be done from here. This is what whole and soul Azure AI Foundry offers. And there are different things which you can find from the home itself. You'll be able to go ahead and find all the capabilities of Foundry, and you can also stay up to date with the latest releases of each model. As I was saying, in the model catalog, there were different, you see now Mistral, Cohere. I think previously I wasn't able to see. So now it is more visible. Cohere, Mistral, and few more. If I hit next, there was Meta Llama, all those models. You can pick any one of them. Let's say I pick Meta Llama for code generation, and you can now straight away go ahead and deploy. This is deprecated now. We can pick something else, but you can straight away use these models as well in your Foundry portal and work in your projects. This covers our model. Now let's see one important thing, which is a project which I was speaking about. So this is the description. This is the Azure project which I'm working on. And these are the endpoints which you can still find from this navigation as well. So whatever I have worked on is in residing in this particular project. And if you can go ahead and start creating your projects as well in your Azure AI Foundry model. I don't see that here. Let me go to the project section. Yeah, looking for your projects, and I can create a new project. And this project will be a hub for my team, just like any other Azure DevOps project. And you can add users. As you can see, one project is already added. And this will be uh, showcasing all the deployments for this particular project. So go inside the agents, the templates, everything for this project will be showcased. This covers my session. If you have any more queries, I'm good to take, but let me just hope you learned something new, and you can also start integrating your assistants or any of the use case agentic models which you build on top of Foundry to your Pro Code, or integrate it with the platforms like M365 service or Teams or something like that, just with the help of endpoint and key with the code. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and I will stay for the questions if there are any.
All right. Thank you, Srishti, very much for